Hello to all YouTubers and welcome to another update of this 90-gallon build process. And today is day number 18. And as you can see here, major changes. Now I've added the live sand and we're going to talk a little bit about that here. Very important and some common questions that I get asked when it comes to live sand. We're also going to talk a little bit about the cleanup crew towards the end of the video, but not in too much detail, and that's because I'm going to be doing an individual video on cleanup crews. Now the Aquascape here is nowhere near permanent. This is just after I added the live sand. I just kind of like stacked these rocks up in this manner here, just so that they could get plenty of light, and not be scattered all over the place and whatnot. Just kind of make it look neat while I plan and decide what it is that I'm gonna do next. Now there will be more live rock added to the system. However, it probably won't be too much live rock. There will be about another 40 pounds of live rock, and I've since added 30 pounds of Fiji located here behind the skimmer, because this is such a large stage here, 17 by 15 inches. But so that makes it 40 pounds of Monado live rock, and then I've got 30 pounds of Fiji. However, there will be some more live rock, but that's, everything has to go slow. Step-by-step process here. The tank is looking absolutely awesome with the live sand. The shimmering effect of metal halides is just absolutely beautiful. As you can see with your own eyes here, most of the walls and everything is covered in sand. Now, let me say this, right? And this is very important. Now, the sands that I use, of course, is this one here, which is made by Nature's Ocean. And I do have a detailed video review on this particular live sand. Awesome live sand, and if you're going to cycle your marine aquarium, and I did a video on how to cycle a marine aquarium, because I could not find the proper grain size, which is very important. I had to cycle the tank with the live rock first, but it is strongly recommended that when you do cycle your tank, do it with the live sand at the same time. Now, grain sizes, very important here. This one in particular, sugar fine grain sizes, no bigger than 0.05 millimeters. So this one in particular here, the grain sizes are going to be 0.01 to 0.05 millimeters, no bigger than 1/2 millimeter. Very important here. Now, one of the most common questions that I get asked, is what kind of live sand do I use, and of course, how many pounds of live sand do I need for my particular system. Now, this is the live sand that I use, and as I mentioned, I have a detailed video on it. It's called Live Sand for Marine Aquariums. Definitely go take a look at that, and it talks highly about this particular sand. Now, when it comes to how many pounds of live sand do you need, this is a very easy solution here. You can go online, go into Google and just type in a DSB calculator, or type in deep sand bed calculator, and you should be able to stumble upon several websites that contain this calculator, where you can easily add the dimensions of your marine aquarium, and by doing so, it'll tell you how many pounds of live sand you actually need in order to achieve a 4-inch deep sand bed, for example. So in this case here, this being a 90-gallon system, this one is 48 inches long, the system, by 18 inches wide. So I put this information in the deep sand bed calculator, and basically put down that I wanted a 4-inch depth of deep sand bed, and it told me that I needed to add approximately 8 bags of this live sand. Now, I've only added 6 bags of live sand, and it's giving me 3.5 inches here. It looks a lot shorter, but you cannot count the border down here. because the sand actually goes beneath this border here. And the reason why I did this is because I do have a 30-gallon nano system that has been running for 7 months, almost 8 months. And what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna take 2 of these bags of live sand and add them to the 30-gallon nano system. But before I do that, I will be taking 1-inch top layer of that 30-gallon nano system and adding it to this system. Very important in order for me to properly seed the deep sand bed, with the necessary critters. Now, if you want more information on deep sand beds and all of that, definitely visit my 2-part video on my video list, Marine Aquarium deep sand beds. I have a 2-part video where I cover a brand new deep sand bed on the 30-gallon nano system, and then a mature deep sand bed which was in this tank before I broke it down. Definitely I'm a fan of deep sand beds. And don't listen to a lot of the things that are posted in forums and whatnot, because in the end there's a lot of beginners posting a lot of myths about deep sand beds. And to be honest with you, those that have tried deep sand beds stumble into problems because the deep sand bed is not deep enough and the such. So I can tell you that a deep sand bed is just absolutely beneficial for you. Check out that 2-part video. Now, let me talk about this, because I added the live sand approximately 12 hours ago. It was yesterday that I added it, and it's actually morning time, and it's starting to be morning here. You can see that the sun is starting to come out, and so it took approximately 12 hours for the tank to clear up, and it's still not completely clear. Now, it is very important. Another common question that I get is, if I buy this type of live sand, do I rinse it? Absolutely not, guys. Do not commit that mistake, because you will in fact be killing the live sand. Now, when I added the sand to the system, I didn't have time to take the video, because I was really tired. So I went to sleep, woke up today, and I'm taking this video before I head out to work. But the tank last night, when I added the sand, was complete. I mean, you couldn't even see through, the tank itself. It was impossible for you to see it, and that was because there was a lot of silt. And actually, that silt is extremely beneficial to your system. There is where the high concentrations of life is found, and you actually want to encourage your tank to contain this silt. This yellowing silt is going to basically cover your whole tank. And so what I did was I just simply added the sand, shut off all the power heads when I added the sand. There is no wrong or right way to add a live sand. Basically just shut off your power heads, shut off everything else, add the live sand, wait a few minutes, 15, 20, 30 minutes at the most, turn on your power heads, turn on your system, and call it a day. Now, before you introduce the live sand, before I did it here, there was 2 things that were key in order for me to be successful here. Number 1, I had to drain approximately 5 gallons, and you can see the bucket here, of water, and that was before I introduced the deep sand bed. And that's because, if you have the same amount of water as you add the volume of sand and water here, your water is going to raise. And of course, you don't want that, because it's just gonna cause your system to overflow. So it's important for you to drain water as you add the sand, and very important, make sure that you bring down the water level on your protein skimmer, because the protein skimmer is going to detect this silt in your water column, and the skimmer is just going to go crazy, and it can actually overflow and continuously release a lot of wet skimmate and just cause a very serious water spill here. Now, one last thing that I wanted to cover here when it comes to the addition of live sand, and that is that because this particular sand here comes live, meaning that it comes in a wet bag with the sand itself. This water that is actually inside of this bag contains a different type of salinity, you know, not necessarily, but what I like to do is that after I added the live sand, had the system running, made sure that the water level was correctly, I tested my salinity at least 2 times afterwards and had to adjust it to correct it accordingly. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that this bag of live sand could have more or less salinity than what you had in your system. So very important, make sure that you test your salinity. And last but not least here, we're going to talk a little bit about the live rock. Now there was a couple of comments that were made, you know, during the time that the tank was actually going through a cycle. And some of the people said, well, where's the coralline algae? Did it die out and stuff? I'm here to tell you that it did not. And we're going to take a closer look here. And most of the coralline algae is actually still in the system. Let's get a closer look here. The only problem is here, well, there's not really a problem, but the fact that the brown diatoms were covering the rock entirely, you know, and I don't know, the camera's actually capturing this lighting here, and it's actually making it look a little weird here. But the fact that the rocks were completely covered in brown diatoms was not an indication that the coralline algae was actually dying out. And so if we take a closer look here, let me see if I can get this camera to focus correctly, but you can actually see there's some red and some green down here. There's actually some yellow. I have to fix this camera here because it's actually doing this here. You can see lots of purple coralline algae here. You know, guys, just be patient here when it comes to this. You know, the cycle and everything else will kill off some of the coralline algae, but all of this coralline algae is going to flourish under correct lighting conditions. And that's exactly what I have here. Perfect lighting conditions when it comes to metal halides and everything. This rock comes from shallow waters, and you know, it just absolutely loves intense lighting. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Now, when it comes to the cleanup crew, I've gotten so many questions, guys. Be patient, because my cleanup crew is going to arrive here today. Now, hopefully I'm going to be home to accept it. If not, my girl's going to accept it. But I really want to cover this. I'm going to talk about the best website that you can go to get your own you know, cleanup crew. And we're going to really get into detail, you know, when it comes to what cleanup crew is best. And what critters are actually beneficial for you. A lot of people commit the mistake that they only want to add you know, critters that eat algae, when in fact you want to attack the detritus as well. And one of the main reasons why my systems are always so successful is because I put in the money, the time, and the attention to make sure that I have the proper cleanup crew. So stay tuned for that future video. Hope you guys have enjoyed this particular video here. Sorry for the camera with the colors here. I hope this thing does not actually come out through when it comes to uploading it to YouTube. But any questions, comments, concerns, you can post them down below. NewYorkSteelo signing out. Peace.